Hello there, YouTube. My name is Jacob, and welcome to my YouTube channel today. Today, we are going to be talking about the most recent events that happened on June 16th, 2021 between Team USA and France. Ironically, this is actually who Team USA will be playing on July 24th of 2021 at the Tokyo Olympics, which is almost a month away from now. This match was very interesting indeed because it gave us a great preview of what potentially both of these teams could be throwing at the Olympics in exactly almost 30 days from now. So with that, let's begin this video. I'd like to ask one more thing before we continue with this video today, that if you think you would like this content in the future, I'd ask that you please subscribe to this YouTube channel, as every subscription will help be able to sustain this channel with being able to create more content going forward. So with that, let's begin with today's video. Going into this match, you had France with a record of 7-3 and Team USA with a record of 5-5. It also needs to be noted as well that France is currently ranked 5th in the world at the time that they had played this match, and Team USA was ranked 3rd in the world when they had played this match as well. So both teams are pretty familiar with each other, being top 5 in the world for being able to play the game of volleyball. That being said, though, there was pretty much two different storylines that if anyone had watched the match would have noticed as the match was happening. What you really had was a situation in which France came in with a game plan and went with it, and Team USA had their own game plan as well, and they went for it as well. That being said, though, France looked like the better team, and I'm going to get into more details why France looked like the better team in a few minutes. But Team USA, I have to say, and I'll cover this more in details later in this video, just did not look like the same team that we had just witnessed against Italy the other day. And it will make more sense as we continue talking about it today. Let's start with France real quick. So France, to me, is a very impressive team in general. France, you can tell, has done a lot for individuals, who they are as the players, and as a team for themselves. There's a reason why they're ranked 5th in the world at this time. One thing, though, that is really impressive with their way of playing is that they're able to read the opponents really, really well on defense, and are able to actually dig the ball really, really well. In fact, when they were playing against Team USA, they had about 80 digs versus Team USA, which had 69 digs during the match. That should give us an idea of how great their defense was. And one of the reasons why their defense was so great too is because their blocking in particular at times was able to slow down the hits from Team USA. Even though France wasn't really good at blocking during this match, they were able to make it up for slowing down the ball when it came from USA hits. The other thing too is there were some players that really stuck out a lot during this match. You had players like Kevin Thiele, Irvin Negepeth, and Trevor Clevenot. If I mispronounced those names, I'm sorry. I'm going to try my best going forward, but I am human, making mistakes with these. But they are really great at being able to provide an offensive spark for France. Irvin in particular, he's probably the heart and soul of Team France, and he's able to legitimately carry a team, and the way he composes himself is really impressive as well. And then to Trevor Clevenot, who I had mentioned earlier too, he's a really skilled player as well. In fact, one thing I have to give Trevor Clevenot a really great credit for is he is really, really good at transitioning for France on the offensive end. His footwork is truly amazing, and even though he didn't play that much and didn't get that many sets, he is a very valuable option for France coming off the bench should they need him in the Olympics. Something that also needs to be mentioned too is this match went to 4 sets with Team USA. France won sets 1, 3, and 4. But one set in particular was set 4. I do not believe France would not have won set 4 if it wasn't for Stephen Boyer. Stephen Boyer was the opposite for France, and he really came alive during that final set for France. And that's one huge reason why France was able to actually pull ahead away from Team USA, is because Stephen Boyer just lit up Team USA with his hitting towards the end. And players like Kevin and Irvin didn't have to put in as much effort to be able to carry France. France also has to be able to continue to control their emotions, though. That's kind of one huge reason why in set 2 that France had lost. France had a lead at the point in set 2, but Team USA started to come back slowly, and there was an error that had happened, and France did not like the call which was turned, even though the challenge that they had given resulted in Team USA getting the point. And instead of just moving on, France you can tell they were a little frustrated with how things were going for them. So France has got to be able to control their emotions, even though they're a very well-disciplined team. The other thing, too, that was really, really impressive with France is that France in particular, they didn't make many service errors. The men's game has a tendency of having a lot of service error, but in the first match alone, France only had 1 service error. By the end of the match, they had a total of 15. So if you take 4 matches divided by 15, you're averaging close to 3 or 4 errors a match for serving alone. That is very impressive. And we're not talking like these are easy float serves. We're talking these are really, really hard jump serves that were really, really controlled. They served a lot to Del Falco on Team USA. That was their game plan. And it worked for them in so many ways due to how hard they were serving the ball and just being able to control the offensive end of serves. In fact, if I remember correctly, France was so great at serving that they actually were making Team USA receive it more. Team USA had 87 receives versus France's 76, so that should give you an idea of just how great France's serves were during the match. And I have to say, France, by all means, great serving team. They will probably give Team USA a run for their money at the Olympics. But that being said, and the other thing with France, too, that was truly amazing as well, which makes France a true challenge for Team USA come the Olympics, is going to be France is really, really well at the out-of-system play for how they play. France is able, it doesn't matter if their setter's out of the system, they are able to keep their system alive. A lot of this team have really good hands for setting. They're really good at bump setting the ball if they need to as well. France is a very well organized team, and you can tell that they work a lot on their out-of-system offense, and it pays off for them because they run it really, really well. There were mistakes, obviously, for some of their out-of-system plays, but for the most part, it was pretty smooth transition for a team that is currently ranked in the 5th in the world, and it shows why they're ranked 5th in the world just by how smooth they are in the transition game for out-of-system offense. Their in-system, obviously, probably top-notch as well, but their out-of-system is what really stuck out for France. France is really, I can't express this enough, but France is actually a really, really well team, and they will give anyone a run for their money come the Olympics in a month from now. Team USA is having the exact same problem as I had mentioned in the Italy game. Team USA, you got to really start working on those serves. Team USA, during the match, had a total, by the time it was all said and done, they had missed 24 of their serves. That's a lot of serves for a team. They virtually, in a way, gave up an entire set just missing their serves alone. And I got to say, that's going to be the Achilles heel for Team USA for the Olympics, is most likely going to be their serves. Other factors, too, and we got to give credit, like I always say, where credit is due. In the second set and parts of the third, Team USA's blocking really, really on at times. I do have to mention this, though. Mitchell Stahl, I do not think he's going to be the starting middle blocker for Team USA in the Olympics, at least the first day against France. I was not impressed with him that much. I get he's a great blocker, and I get he's a great server, but I did not see that the entire match. At times, it just seemed like he was struggling with blocking against France. And granted, the game is a lot faster So, but I don't think Mitchell's going to be starting in the Olympics on July 24th. I think he's a great addition to Team USA, and I've seen past highlights of him, and he can be a really good blocker. But during that match, he did not look like the better of the two middle blockers. In fact, I'd have to say that Maxwell Holt should be one of the potential starting middle blockers for Team USA. I don't know who the other one will be at this time, but at least Maxwell Holt, I just think he was a better middle blocker. In fact, as a somewhat of a fan for Team USA, and it's going to sound a little biased, which I try not to do, but when I was watching the game, I felt more nervous for Team USA when Mitchell was on the court versus when Maxwell was on the court. If I could break down the numbers even more, I would find that interesting to see if that really did make a difference. But from watching it, it just seemed like at times it was just Maxwell. I've always felt more calm when he was on the court versus when Mitchell was on the court. So that's just something to think about. Eric Soji, I know has his own YouTube channel, and he's the libero for Team USA. But I think it's time we get to see what Dustin Watson can do. I haven't seen Dustin play in these last two matches. I personally would like to see what he can do. Eric is a decent libero for Team USA, but at times it gets a little tricky with Eric on the floor. Sometimes balls are dropping in between him and the other passer, so there's like a miscommunication between him and whoever's next to him. Eric's defense is pretty good at times. His setting decisions, it can be a little, I guess, interesting to see what his choices are in setting and out-of-ball systems. He also doesn't seem comfortable in out-of-ball systems. I don't know why that is. To me, I personally believe a libero should feel comfortable in the out-of-ball system. I mean, he's controlling and potentially getting the assist, but it just seems like Eric, to me, just doesn't feel as comfortable on the court. Now, granted, it could be time difference, travel, playing a lot of volleyball. Who knows at this point? But I want to see Dustin now as the libero for Team USA, hopefully. Hopefully we get to see Dustin in the Netherlands match when we review that one. But Eric, I'm not that impressed. And going off the Soji thing, his brother, Kawika, I was not that impressed with him as a setter. I mean, he's a great addition, but Micah Christensen to me is the better setter. I had mentioned this in the Italy video, but if Micah Christensen gets hurt, I don't know if the other Soji brother, Kawika, is going to be able to step up as much. His setting tempo is okay at times, but it also just seems like his setting choices at times it could be better, and I can't give him too much of a hard time for that because he is technically the leader of the court, and he is dictating the offense at times. But in my honest opinion, Kawika, I just don't see it. Maybe there's something they saw at tryouts for Team USA that I'm not seeing, and maybe it'll take me more film study to figure this out. But as of right now, I don't see it with him. TJ DeFalco, though, I have come to this conclusion, though. TJ DeFalco is going to be a determining factor for Team USA. In this match, we did not get to see Matt Anderson, and we didn't get to see Taylor Sanders, but we did get to see TJ DeFalco a lot on the court. TJ DeFalco at times, I was talking to a friend about him actually recently, and I had discovered that I was kind of being a little biased, but I'm going to have to still point this out, is just TJ at times, his passing, even though he didn't have that, I don't think he had any errors, if I'm being honest right now, but to me, his passing just, to me, didn't look as good. He was huge, though, for Team USA, and I can't give him that much of a hard time, but his passing just didn't seem consistent, didn't seem comfortable at times. Granted, France was almost serving every single ball at him, and if you were in his shoes, you'd probably be in the same boat as well. But Del Falco is going to be a huge key factor for Team USA. I can see him starting along with Taylor Sanders, but I am very, very curious to know how Del Falco is going to do when he's on the court, because I can tell you this much. If, as of right now, I know I just gave Eric Soji a lot of negative feedback, I guess you can say. But when you have Eric Soji on the court, which you know as a volleyball fan that you're going to avoid serving the libero, because the libero tends to be the best passer, and you know that Taylor Sanders is another good passer for Team USA, teams are going to avoid serving those two a lot. And so they're going to end up serving TJ DeFalco a lot. And so to me, TJ is going to be the huge key component of whether or not Team USA can do anything, especially against France the first day when they play too, because I can almost guarantee you, well, I can't really guarantee you, but if DeFalco's starting against France on day one, something tells me they're going to be serving DeFalco again, because teams don't just adjust their system. And especially when you have Taylor Sanders and a libero like Soji on the floor, probably even Dustin, if he's on the floor too as well, they're not going to be serving him as well either. So that's just something to think about when it comes to how Del Falco can be a potential factor for Team USA winning the medal this year. That's all today for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed my commentary of what I thought between France and Team USA. I'm excited to see these teams play again and on July 24th. I really am. I really hope we get to see Matt Anderson and Taylor Sander on the floor for Team USA. I really hope we get to see these French players play at their top best as well. I personally think it's going to be a really good match. In fact, Pool B is going to be really interesting to know who takes the #1 seed in the pool when it's all said and done. But France will give Team USA a run for their money, and USA will obviously give France a run for their money as well. But honestly, in my opinion, whoever wins between these two is most likely taking the #1 seed in the pool come the Olympics. If you enjoyed this video today, guys, I ask that you please subscribe, as I enjoy making these videos and be able to break down these volleyball matches for you guys. I hope you enjoy listening to them as well. I hope to be able to continue doing this as well, guys. So with that today, guys, please subscribe to the channel if you really enjoyed the content which you heard today. Thank you for your time, and have a wonderful day.